And yesterday they announced the reserves for the NBA All-Star game that'll be played March 7th. It's always fun. It's exciting to see who makes the team and all that. And Devin Booker was left off of the reserve team. Now, Anthony Davis, who made the team, is injured, as we all know. And so they had to pick a replacement, and Devin Booker was chosen. So Devin Booker, Phoenix Suns guard, will make his first All-Star appearance. And good for him. I do think he's an All-Star level player, and I'm happy that he is making the team. But when he was left off yesterday, Rob, LeBron James, of all people, I mean, the biggest guy in the league, he tweeted this: Devin Booker is the most disrespected player in our league. 3 exclamation points. Simple as that.
Take that for data.
Strong, right.
Take that for data.
Hey, what do you think? I mean, just let me ask you this way. Oh, and then LeBron he tweeted, followed by Dame Dollar. All right, so let me ask you, is LeBron right? Is Devin Booker the most disrespected player in the league?
First of all, there's a couple things. There are plenty of players, Chris, who get stuck behind other guys. There are not that many spots, right?
Right.
So there are guards and stuff who just can't eclipse that and get a starting job, starting role with the fans or whatever. And then I know that the Suns are better this year and they're winning. But all these other years, Devin Booker's been putting up wins, putting up numbers for a team that won 34 games or less, Chris, for years.
Right.
I mean.
Right. Never made the playoffs.
Never made the playoffs. Stop it with he's the most disrespected. No. If Devin Booker for the last few years, Chris, had been making the playoffs and advancing and putting up the numbers, it would be a different conversation. It's hard to leapfrog over other people when your team doesn't win. Trae Young, right?
Yep.
In Atlanta.
Trae Young's not in it.
Not in it. They went out, made all these moves, Chris, built this team up. They got off to a hot start. Do you remember the first week or 10 days?
4-0.
Right?
Yep.
Where have they been since?
They're
gutter. Awful. They've been bad. And when that happens.
Now they're beating Boston, but still.
But that's ball. Everybody beats Boston, right? But my point, if I'm surprised, LeBron should have tweeted out, or what was that, Instagram or Twitter?
Tweet. Yeah.
Should have tweeted out a picture of him and his face in the mirror, because LeBron is the most disrespected player in the NBA, not Devin Booker. And if you don't believe me, back in 2017. The first year, Chris, they gave players the right to vote for the All-Star game. Right. It was always for the fans. And then they wanted to change it. And they made it, a third
25%
to fans.
25% players, 25% media, 50% fans.
Exactly. So they changed it. And about 125 NBA players, there's only 400 jobs.
128.
128 to be exact. Did not vote for LeBron James to be an all-star. This is 2017. 4 years ago. They did not vote for him. Chris.
But hold on.
It's an exhibition. How in the world could you?
154 didn't vote for Kevin Durant.
But Kevin Durant, at that time, people had a not a good feeling about him because of the going to the Warriors, and there was some other stuff. But LeBron James, you telling me that 128 players did not have him on that ballot? That's disrespect.
I hear where you're going. First of all, I got to say this. I don't know who the most disrespected player in the league is. It's not Devin Booker. It's hard to categorize who is the most disrespected. But I would say the 3 that come to mind as the biggest candidates for it are, to your point, one, LeBron, who's beloved by many and hated by many. So, yes, he gets his major league respect from many corners. But then there are those that want to hate on him. So I think LeBron would be in the discussion. I think Kevin Durant is in the discussion. Like I said, he was left off more ballots than LeBron. Neither of them, Rob, should have been left off one ballot.
Right. Not
right?
one.
Neither
Not
one of them should have been left off one ballot. And for KD, and again, I'm not trying to say that these dudes aren't beloved by players and respected by players, but they're polarizing. Some, people love them and some people don't like them. And it's the same thing with KD. Whether it's the burner accounts or him going to Golden State, there are those that aren't feeling him either. So I put him in there. And then I put Steph in there. Again, some people love him. He changed the game. Everybody wants to play like Steph, all these kids. But then there are those that don't like him. So those three, Rob, for me, come to mind before Devin Booker. Now, to Devin Booker, you're right. I mean, you're not winning. And here's the thing, and I'm happy for Book because he is an all-star level player. And Rob, let's keep it real. If he were in the East, he probably not only would have made it this year, he probably would be a multiple-time all-star. Because these numbers he's putting up now are actually lower than what he's done in the past. So I'm glad Booker's made it finally. But what I'd like to see players do, Rob, and LeBron wasn't the only one. A lot of guys came out and supported Book, which is good.
If you have to politic for it to be an all-star, I never feel.
Well,
good
he
about
didn't
that.
politic.
No,
so
I know,
yeah,
but that's other people feeling compelled to politic for him. It takes something away from him.
Well,
that's
but that's
me.
them. I wouldn't mind if other people do it, as long as it wasn't like he called him and said, "Yo, man, you believe this? Can you put something out there?" That's one thing, which I don't think he did. But Rob, what I'd like to see players do when you're all up in arms and, oh, it's robbery, I can't believe it. Tell us who should be taken off then. Go the extra mile. Okay, Book should be on. Who should be off? And I, as much as I like Booker, Rob, when I look at the team, Chris Paul deserves it. Now they're both on the same team. With Chris Paul this year, they're 20-10. Last year, without Chris Paul, basically the same team without him, they were 11-20.
No, and that's why he gets the bump because he's the new guy that showed up, and now all of a sudden they're winning at a different clip.
Yep.
Devin's been there, right?
Yep.
I mean, that's
Devin's
really
doing what Devin's done, right?
And it didn't get them anywhere, but now all of a sudden they're winning. That's why they give the credit.
Absolutely. So, and then you got Damian Lillard. Obviously, you're not taking him off. Donovan Mitchell led the Utah Jazz to the best record in the league. Right. Obviously not taking him off. Then you got AD, who was hurt. You've said you don't think AD's an all-star. I do think he's an all-star despite being disappointing this year. But I don't think you take him off for Devin Booker like if he was healthy. Or would you?
I'm just saying, AD's year has been a mixed bag. That's all.
Rudy Gobert, Jazz, he's the defensive anchor. Paul George. Now, you could argue if you want that Paul George has missed a lot of games. I think he's missed 9 games. So if you want to go that route to say 9 out of 32 he's missed, but he's delivered on the court. So I don't have a problem with Paul George. And then Zion. Now, some people might have a problem with Zion. They're not really winning, although they've won 8 of 15. Rob, and he's got to improve his rebounding. For a guy that big, width-wise, muscles and all that with those hops and that explosion, he's got to give me more than 6.8 rebounds a night.
Right.
But for all of that, Rob, 25 points on like 62% shooting. The dude is a force to be reckoned with. So I got no problem with Zion being on there. So, again, I'm happy Book gets on, but I don't know. The outrage, I follow it up.
The outrage is just shocking to me, really. Just why this year, Chris? I guess because Chris Paul showed up, right? Is that it?
Yeah, I mean, they're winning. So people would assume.
How about
okay,
if you're
he hasn't
James
gotten over
Harden
because they're winning,
and you weren't even picked for the? You want to talk about a great player not picked to be a starter? James Harden, Chris.
Yeah, if I'm Harden, and I think he's smart enough to know this, the only justification of that is that he just got to the East.
Nah, but he's been balling out. Look at where they are.
Rob, you heard me say it.
I know.
A couple days ago, and I'm glad now it's starting to get some traction. I'm not saying I started it, but I seen Jalen Rose, I think. I've seen Paul Pierce. Stephen A. mentioned it tonight. I don't know if Jalen did, but Paul Pierce and Stephen A. did. They mentioned Harden in the MVP race. And I said, look, if they keep rolling, Rob, and they roll in the second half, maybe they really put some good distance between themselves and Philly or Milwaukee or whoever else, who's second in the East, and Harden keeps doing this, Rob, he got to be right up there for the MVP race.
Especially with the stumble with the Lakers and LeBron, right? Where that is.
Like,
right?
LeBron's come back to the pack. LeBron's not out of the race by any stretch.
No, but he's definitely not the leader in the clubhouse like it was like a week ago.
Exactly. Embiid is there. Harden is there. LeBron, I mean, maybe Kawhi. It's wide open. So the second half is going to determine it. But, yeah, but I'm with you. Harden should have started. Dame, most people said he should have started. I said he should have started, even though I picked Luka. But, it's close. I mean, Luka, you saw what Luka did last night. The two back-to-back threes to win the game.
Yeah.
So he's a great deserving player too. But yeah, now last thing I'll throw at you quickly, Rob. Do you think the league kind of coaches pick? So I don't think the league had anything to do with Zion getting in there. You got any issues with him being in there?
No, I mean, but I always call the NBA the NBA WWE. They like to try if they could get what they want in there. It seems like there's always a little something there. I'm not saying that there's some
funny
memo from the commissioner's office, Chris, but sometimes it does feel like that. I thought last year when they included they really wanted New Orleans to be in the playoffs last year. I think that's why they had the odd number of teams, and they kept so that Zion and them had a chance, and it didn't happen. They lost their first game in the bubble and just never recovered, Chris. But I think they wanted him in. You know what I mean? Like they looking at him as possibly being the next guy. LeBron is getting long in the tooth. Some of these other guys, the league's like that. They're into that.
I don't
who's
know
next?
if he can be the next guy.
No, I'm not saying he is, but
I'm glad he's in it. I wouldn't have thrown a hissy fit if he wasn't, but I'm glad he's in it because he's fun to watch and it'll be exciting, hopefully. And we'll see. But let's throw it out to the callers. Your turn to weigh in on Rob and my conversation. Who is the most disrespected player in the NBA? LeBron James says it's Devin Booker and then Dame Dollar.
All right.
Your turn to weigh in. Who you got?
Let's kick it off with Smith in North Carolina. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio.
Hey, what's up, man? Great show, guys.
Thank you,
brother.
Hey, man, Donovan Mitchell, hands down, is the most disrespected player in the league, man. I mean, he actually gets W's. And when you look at him, Bradley Beal, and Devin Booker, they all the same. 25, 4, and 4. But the difference is one of them actually wins. That's the difference. If you win, you deserve respect. And I agree with LeBron. Damian Lillard's in there, too. But, they all basically the same, bro. The league's been full of players like that. Put up numbers, don't win, you don't get the love.
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
putting
Mitchell,
up numbers.
Yeah, look, he certainly is in as much as in the conversation as Devin, right? Because nobody's thinking of him as MVP, Rob.
What hurt him last year, you remember they were up 3-1. They choked last year in the first round.
Exactly.
I mean,
that's why I think, yes, they've been a winning team for a few years with Mitchell. But some of that's their culture, Rob. I mean, Utah is they're a great program. You know what I mean? Like, they haven't won a championship, but they're pretty much always in the mix somewhere. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so Mitchell's benefited from that. But he is great. He is great, no doubt.
All right, Dez in Miami. You're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Dez?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? Great show, man. Love the show.
Thank you, buddy.
Hey, man. All right, look. You know the people's choice is going to be Dame. It's going to be Donovan Mitchell. It's going to be Booker. But we all know the correct answer. The most disrespected player is LeBron James himself. Yes. Come on, guys.
Dez, that's what I said. Dez,
He was just trying to be humble.
How is that? Well, he wouldn't have looked good coming out saying I'm the most disrespected player in the league.
Well, he said he was the GOAT.
He won't say. He's been the MVP of the league of the past decade, carrying teams to finals, playoffs. Besides this,
he hasn't been the MVP for the last decade. Chris already documented that yesterday. He took his foot off the gas in Cleveland.
Yeah, those years in Cleveland.
Come on, go look at the numbers.
They won 50 games with that team. 52 games.
Des, not MVP the last 10 years.
It's a regular season award.
Yeah.
Well, he's been the best player in the league by and large, for sure.
But he hadn't been the MVP.
That's not what gets the MVP, right? Michael
Just
Jordan
like Giannis last
year,
Chris. Giannis was the MVP.
Right.
For the regular season.
Yeah, you couldn't argue with Giannis. It's hard to argue what he did.
And LeBron had his feelings hurt. LeBron really thought he was supposed to win last year. Really, he was hurt.
And let me say this, Rob, because some people have said, and I think you'll be on my side. Some people have said, oh, save the MVP for after the playoffs. And then you pick the MVP. Why? Because you know what that would be, Rob? That'd be the finals MVP.
Right. That's why it's
you're
different.
You're not going to give it to somebody whose team, he was balling. He was averaging 40 points a game, but they went out in the second round. He's not getting it. Whoever would get it would be from the winning team, the championship team.
I don't understand why people don't get that. One is regular season. That's why there's a finals MVP. That's why Kevin Durant has 2 finals MVPs, Chris, right? Because he performed well in the postseason and in the finals.
It's that finals, right.
Exactly. Ben in Washington, you're on the Odd Couple, Fox Sports Radio. What's up, Ben?
Hey, what's up, guys? I like your show.
Thank you, brother.
So, I think LeBron James, the GOAT, is like he's disrespected.
In what way?
All right, so he's...
So,
go ahead.
Like the same thing you guys said, thing with Cleveland, he didn't win MVP when he should have. So,
what year should he have won it in Cleveland? I'm just like, again, nobody denying he was the best player in the league. All of them? Winning 50 games?
No. After he came back from the Miami Heat and he went to Cleveland, like nobody was putting up the numbers he was, and they were not winning. The guys in the league that probably put up the numbers, they're not winning. So he should have been the MVP.
Guys that won the MVP those years were winning.
Yes.
And they were putting up numbers.
They're always from winning teams.
Right.
Going to the finals.
It's a regular season. Okay.
Yeah. All right.
Ben.
Thank you. Ben, hello? We love you, Ben. Appreciate the support. But it's a regular season award. And you bringing up that he went to the finals 9 times in a row or whatever it was, that's not what the MVP is. Just like if LeBron had a great year and somehow got knocked out in the first round, Chris, would we take it away from him?
Right.
No. And everybody would be crying bloody murder. Oh, LeBron played great during the regular year, and these bums on his team couldn't help him win the playoffs, right? That's what you'd hear.
Yep. He is an NBA champion, a 3-point sharpshooter, and a Fox Sports Radio NBA analyst. Our man, Eddie House. What's up, brother?
What up, Eddie?
Fellas, what's up? How y'all doing?
We are great, man. Great. We are great. How are you?
Hey, I'm good, but I got a quick question, Chris. Were you a dunk? Did you dunk in your day?
Yes, I could dunk.
Okay.
I couldn't dunk. Okay. I never dunked in a game, like a real game. I wasn't that certain. I would dunk. I would make maybe 3 out of 8 tries or something like that.
Oh, so all 3 of them been on Rob. I feel you. Okay.
Oh, wow. Would you see that ugly video he put together? Him and his daughter, that propaganda. Wait till I see her.
Was a great video.
Wait till I see her.
All right, Eddie, did you have any problems with the All-Star team, the reserves and all that?
There was a couple. I think I did have an issue with Devin Booker not making it. I also had a issue with Sabonis not making it. I thought that his body of work where he has his team at right now, for a team like the Celtics. And it's not to take any, I love the Celtics. It's a team I never want to see lose. But to be able to have two teams in their mid-pack, of the player, actually at the bottom half of the playoff side, when you look at it, to have two guys who have been playing well, I just think that Sabonis, it's tough for him, and then also I think Devin Booker too for what he brings to the table. I think those are the two issues that I had. Everybody
and you
else
saw
pretty
Booker
much,
got named for Anthony Davis, because he's hurt, obviously. Yeah.
Right, but that's not the same. That's being I think that's the only other time he got in too. He got in as a reserve, a replacement. You know what I mean? He's never actually just made it as people looking at him and say he's an all-star. It's like he's on the outside looking in. Something has to happen for him to creep in, an injury, somebody sitting out, and to me, that's where I say that I don't think that that's right.
But here's what I'll say to you.
Yeah,
Eddie,
here's our
Rob's got a
pushback.
question. Yeah,
you already know.
Because I'm with you on and I'm with you on Sabonis. I think you put him in over Vucevic.
No doubt.
Orlando's 13 and 19. Now Vucevic can play. His numbers are crazy, but they're 13 and 19. So, but with Devin, who I love, I think if he was in the East, he'd be a multiple-year All-Star. But who are you taking off in the West? Like, I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know what? I don't know who I'm taking off for D-Book.
Well, I would take off, and I know he's box, so I would take Zion Williamson off. I know he's box office, but
and
where is his team at? Yeah, he's playing good basketball, but he doesn't have his team. They're not as forward moving as Devin Booker has been. It's almost similar to when Devin came into the league in his first few years in the league, been balling out, has his team kind of right there, fighting for that last couple spots, but still, no matter how many numbers he puts up, it's just your team's not winning enough.
That's
and now
fair.
his team is winning enough, and to get overlooked for a team that's not ahead of him, I mean, for a player who's on a team that's not ahead of him, I always thought that the All-Star game usually is about the teams that are winning, but also superstars. I mean, because if we're going to just take guys, let's talk about Trae Young, and the job he's doing as far as individually. His team is not showing the record-wise, but individually, he definitely deserves to be an All-Star if you're just looking on that level.
But don't you think that, and we're not going to belabor the point, but I get most of the guys are really good, and then you start to look at, well, where their team, are they playing in meaningful games, or do they have a winning squad? And, it's easier to play Eddie when, and I say easier, it's hard, of course, in the NBA, but when you're playing in games that don't matter, you could put up a lot of stats. A team, and those guys don't make the All-Star team, so it's not just stats.
In the East, you had a lot of dudes from losing teams.
No, I mean because of where we are. But let me
Zach LaVine.
Let me flip
Beal.
over to this though. So LeBron tweeted out that Devin Booker is the most disrespected player in the NBA, followed by Dame Dollar. I think the most disrespected was LeBron, or is LeBron. And 3 years ago when they gave the voting rights to the players, 128 players left LeBron James' name off the All-Star game, an exhibition of the best players in the game. Who, in your opinion, is the most disrespected player in the league, if you could pick one?
I would go with Dame Lillard. And I don't think Devin Booker is disrespected. I think from his peers, and even Dame Lillard, for that matter,
peers,
hoopers, real ballers, real hoopers, and hoop heads understand how great these guys are. But I think that in the grand scheme of things, the media, I believe that Dame Lillard gets overlooked a lot for the things that he is able to do. Number one, playing in a small market up there in Portland. Got swept when they were the third seed one year. Then they came back and beat OKC the next year. And then last year he had a great bubble experience out there. I mean, he was balling, and I just don't think that he gets the credit, that he deserves from the media. And I don't even think Dame looking for that, though. I don't think that's stuff that fuels him to where you have other cats that fuels them. And I don't think that fuels him. I think Dame has has a different mindset of what fuels him to be who he is and how he plays. And I think I would go with Dame Lillard as the most maybe underrated through the media and disrespected through the media. But everybody else, his peers, understand, how tough he is and how much of a baller he is.
Now,
Eddie, you mentioned. Go ahead, Rob.
No, go ahead. I want to ask him about the Celtics. I'll do that after.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. You mentioned the Celtics and their struggles. They're 15-16, and they're in the midst of being shellacked by Atlanta. All right,
they're down 23 at halftime, and they've lost 7 of 10, and it's bad right now.
Do you think? And I think Brad Stevens is a good coach, but do you think at this point? I mean, not that you fire him now, but do they have to really start looking at him? Because the way they're playing tonight, I mean, come on. It makes you think, have they tuned him out? Are they not listening
don't forget,
to him anymore?
Chris, they blew that 24-point lead to the Pelicans. That was last week.
Right.
Yeah, when you start seeing those type of things, it's really, sometimes shots going in, shots not going in can dictate those type of injuries and things like that can dictate those type of outcomes. But if you see guys not really making the extra effort, not being where they're supposed to be and not coming together, then you have signs of somebody who has lost the locker room. And I think that at this point, do the Celtics have enough? Look at their roster and say to yourself, do they have enough? Do they have enough when, besides on paper, when you see the names, but really in actual when they're on the court? Kemba Walker is a hit and miss. So the minute that they start getting used to playing with one another, he might go back down. And now somebody else comes in. Peyton Pritchard is balling out. And now they get used to playing that way. He's playing well. Now he gets yanked out. And to me, they are never able to get a direct relation to how everybody is supposed to come together and play. And I think they need more players. I don't think that their roster, if you look at their roster, their roster is not scary.
It's not a championship roster, but it's also not a 15-16
And you
roster.
remember when they had 25 first-round picks. Remember that?
Yeah, I do remember that. I do remember that.
It was
but
crazy.
Those picks don't always translate into wins.
No,
I know.
I know. That's why I laugh about it.
Wins.
Right. Because people made a big deal about it, but picks don't always work. It ain't about picks. It's about getting a player. I'd rather have a player and less picks if he's a bona fide player or a star. So
Eddie, we got the.
I think this real quick though. I think if you look at it in league, in college basketball, you got to have a mix of some veteran players and some young players that are really talented for it to even work. You can't just have all young or you can't have all old. It has to be a mix, and that's just how it's been forever.
We got Utah and the Lakers tonight, and Utah's obviously got the best record in the league. They've won 21 of 23. Are they a legit? I mean, we know they got beat in the first round last year.
They were up 3-1. Yep.
Right. Are they a legit contender? Like, I'm not even going to say contender because, yeah, they're a contender. But can they win it? Like, we haven't really seen this model. You got one real offensive star, and that's it. And then it's a bunch of good players around. Rudy Gobert is a legit star, but he's not a scorer. I mean, this is a model that we really don't see that much of anymore winning championships. Do you think they could win the championship?
I think it'd be tough for them to win the championship because of the firepower. If they got to play against the Brooklyn Nets, I don't see how they win that game, win that series against the Brooklyn Nets. I don't see how, if you have a healthy Anthony Davis, how they win a series against the Lakers. I think that they could push the Clippers. I think that they have enough to be able to push the Clippers because they have an inside presence. They have a guy in Donovan Mitchell that can score. But I think last year I was on the team of, I thought that they would at least get to the Western Conference Finals, but Bogdanovich got hurt. I think he's a huge part of what they're doing. And then when you add Jordan Clarkson in and the ability he has to score, what that ends up doing is taking some of the pressure offensively off of Donovan Mitchell, where the weight of the world ain't on his shoulders every single night to go out there and put up 40 points for them to be in games or to win games. Jordan Clarkson kind of takes some of that pressure away from him. Rudy Gobert rebounds, blocks shots, protects the rim, can score down low. I think they have a perfect mix of what you would expect a basketball team to look like, especially, and on top of that, they're well coached. So I think you look at, they got a stretch four, they got a guy that can put pressure on the rim at the 5, and they got guys that can score on the perimeter. Mike Conley, when he's healthy, he's one of the top point guards in the league. So I think they have a really, really good mix as long as they stay healthy. Do I think they can get over the Lakers? If the Lakers aren't healthy, if the Lakers are healthy, it's tough for me to see them beating them.
All right.
All
There
right.
it is.
Hey,
our
and
man,
I want to give you.
E-House.
I want to give you a little. If you want more of Eddie House, check him out on the Lemon Pepper Parlay podcast with Martin Weiss and myself. Eddie will talk about a number of things. You could do that and find that podcast on the Extra Points Podcast Network, which is dropping now. You can listen to it right now. So there you go. More of Eddie House.
Hey, Lemon Pepper,
appreciate
all
you,
flats.
buddy. All flats. You already know. No doubt. No doubt.
All right, E-House. Thanks, brother. Great stuff.
And thanks for having me. Take care, guys.
All right, man.